Hello, good people, and welcome to the next episode of the Carport. It's your boy, Dr. Sam Reid here, and I got my CP crew with me. To my right, you have the one and only Raymond Darius Jackson. Next to him, we have none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Dr. Brandon McCray. And to my left, co-founder and CEO of the Carport, you have Wayne Criddle. And to his immediate left is the Generation Z ambassador, Jared 2.0 Criddle. And on today's episode of the Carport, we are going to tackle the topic, are you ready for me? Is the Black church prepared to receive new voices? As always, Doc, you're in the leadoff slot. We're going to start with you, my brother.
Is the Black church ready to receive new voices? In some spaces, Doc, I'm gonna say they're very ready to receive new voices. In the overall, if I were to give a surmise, if I were to surmise or to even give my outlook on the majority, I would say the majority of the Black church, they're not ready for it. And there are a lot of reasons behind that. We'll get into them, but some spaces, yes. Most spaces, I'm going to say no.
Okay, Jared, since you're the Gen Z representative and being that you would be considered a new voice, what are your thoughts? Is the Black church ready for new voices?
Well, I guess my first question is, how would you define new voices?
Wow.
Well, no, that was a legit question. I wasn't trying to be.
You weren't trying to get the money.
I need a definition.
Okay, wait. Well, here's the definition. My definition of a new voice is, number one, something that traditionally in the Black church we've not seen when it comes to how we do church. So when I look at a new voice, not only am I looking at quote unquote young voices, but I'm looking at new voices that challenge the nomenclature of what we see as Black church today.
Okay. Now, can you use that word in a sentence?
Yes.
Okay. I'll stop you before you do it.
Okay, guys.
I guess my simple short answer is yes. My more extended answer would be, I feel like that's just not to disparage the question. I feel like that's just one of those things where it's like, it has to happen. Because, you're going to need a new voice eventually because nobody on this earth is going to live forever. And at a certain point, time changes. So the voice, the message stays the same, obviously. The gospel doesn't change. It's been the same for how many years. But the way it's delivered and who's delivering it needs to evolve with time. Not necessarily curtailed to whatever the times are. But it definitely needs to, there needs to be some continuity, some ebb and flow,
Very well said.
I think that it's a situation, piggybacking on what Dr. McCray said and what Jerry said. It's going to have to be a new voice, but there's not a choice.
Yeah.
The church is going to have to conform because people are moving in a different direction. And in the last episode, we were talking about the fact that a lot of people are trying to find their own spirituality. And they're inventing things, and inventing is probably not the right way to put it, but they're creating their own scenario on the gospel, on the word. And at a certain point, you have to have people that are rooted in the word to deliver the word, and we can't be left to our own devices. So to kind of answer your question, no, they're not reaching the voices now, but they're going to have to, and they're going to have to accept some level of change that these new voices are putting forth. So it's going to be very interesting because people are not, and y'all can speak to it better than I can. I don't think people going back to where we were in regards to the way they praise and the way they exhibit their faith. I just think it was a different time, and now people are moving in a different direction, and the church has got to figure out a way to move with them.
In terms of new voices, I think, well, I want to look at this two ways. I believe that the church is open to new voices that have an old message
and a familiar method.
Mm.
So what I mean by that is I think the first person that comes to mind who became very, very popular, especially in social context, is I think about Pastor Mark Moore, he's out of Atlanta.
Yes.
And who is apostolic to his core. Yes. Pentecostal church to his core. You know
Yeah.
Mark Moore?
No, I was
Okay.
taken aback by the word you used.
Oh yeah,
Apostolic.
So but in terms of like, you know, his theology and students in the word, but his relatability to, you know, the surrounding environment, especially social media and things of that nature. Like I think it takes voices like his, like a Darius Daniels, like a Stephen Chandler, that know how to take an old message and make it relatable, super relatable to culture where we are now. But the second half of that, I guess I'm looking at the opposite side of that coin. When we talk about new voices, are we more so speaking towards not just preaching, but new conversation in the church? Because I think what new voices should bring to the church context is a shift in the mindset of how the church approaches or views different things that affect the culture itself.
So let me see if I can present this angle in order to draw what it is that you're wanting to say. How much religion does the traditional church need to lose in order to welcome new voices?
How much religion? It's a bucket question. The question arose from the bucket.
I'll be here all day.
Really is. Listen, we've enjoyed our time. How much religion? Well, I mean, I don't know. Let me put on this hat. We are from a church. Saint Vincent of Lawrence says we believe what has been believed everywhere, always, and by all. That's the 3 qualifications. Our faith has been believed everywhere, always, throughout all time, and by everyone that's been a believer.
Whoa.
So to be a part of Christianity is to be a part of something that has always been accepting of a new voice. Trace the timeline. Moses, Joshua, prophets, kings, 400 years of silence. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Jesus comes on the scene. But before Jesus, you get John the Baptist, new voice. Jesus, new voice. Disciples, new voices. Church fathers, new voices. Bishops, priests, deacons, new voices. All the way into where we are. So it's always been, we've always had to accept new voices without having to, well, we have lost a lot of religion along the way, but we haven't stopped accepting new voices. We accepted new voices so much so that we've accepted people that I would consider heretical. Now we've accepted them. People talking about all kind of manners of things. I'm not gonna call no names or go down it, but all types of things that would have been your mama and my mama would have killed them before they
cringe.
but they're accepted. So I guess to turn the question on its head, how much religion do we need to pump back into the new to the new voices?
I don't know. But again, if the question is, if the topic is, is the black church ready for new voices? What is the compromise?
If you're speaking of religion in terms of like the standards of the routines that govern a system of
That's where I'm going.
Okay, I got you.
So how much of not necessarily the core foundation or essentials of Christianity, because we're not going to compromise on that.
Absolutely
That's
not.
something that we
No,
just
I'm not saying lose any of the word or the integrity of the word, but in terms of the religion, those traditional things that we just refuse to let go in order to be welcoming to other voices. That's what I'm speaking of. And at the same time, never compromise the word.
Yeah.
Because John 1:1 says, in the beginning, was the word. I don't want to lose that. But am I willing to lose
My
a
stockings.
portion of religion?
My stockings.
Yes.
Right. My not my I
Yeah,
can't
right.
wear hats
You know-
in church.
My earrings.
Well, the deacons sit every Sunday. Am I willing to lose that in order to welcome someone who comes in short pants and his hat to the back?
But in a way, we've
Mhm.
already done that because you'll go to churches and the deacons don't need devotion, or you go to church and people don't wear, a suit tie, or you have, praise and worship team. So you've kind of, in a way, loosened some of the, I guess, procedure, for lack of a better way to put it, items. But the thing about it is, I guess if you take it one step further, and I guess this is where you're going. How much? Okay, you pinch off this, you pinch off that, but how much do you pinch before you really lose what is basic, which is the word? And in order to have new voices, how far do you take? And it's like the question Jared asked. It's almost kind of like, what's a new voice? Is it changing process and procedures, or is it changing principalities? What does the new voice entail, or is it with a lot of things that you talk about, or is it meet people where they are and listening? So is it a new voice, or just having an open ear to where people are? Is that a bad question?
I guess would it not
No,
be all of that?
And let me challenge you there, because I feel like even in the religious spectrum, we only consider religion and black church when we really have the conversation. We only deal with Sunday.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Woo.
Drop in the bucket.
Only deal with. So when it comes to a church's practice or how they worship on Sunday morning, there are limitations based on that church's belief and how they feel like their standard of worship should be.
Mhm.
But the other 6 days, I feel like are wide open for welcoming new. That's when you have the controversial conversations and you welcome, other opportunities to explore different things.
And that's opened up a whole different box, because that voice is not necessarily saying he preached. That voice is not necessarily saying she sung. That voice could be saying, I need help. How can you lead me closer to God? And it could be, I remember when I first joined Bueland and we did a food thing. And I can't think of the name closely, but you went and you actually saw people that legitimately, they were hungry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You hear people talk about it, whatever. These people wanted a meal, and the other part of it was when they got that meal, they said, "Can I get another one for such and such?" Or, but when I equate that to voices, it's like there are a lot of people that need help, and it's a matter of getting to those people, helping them, and then that help it spreads to another person. So the voices that we hear, or the voices that we care about, that we see, that might fuss about the way the pastor's preaching, or the way the choir's singing, or the fact that sister such and such is running around, or are we looking for voices for somebody that's going through something that really needs to be in church, whether they're hungry, whether they're struggling with mental issues or health issues. That's where it's almost a loaded question, because it's like, what are the voices? How do we identify the voices that we need to know? Because the voices might not necessarily be Wayne Criddle complaining because Ray singing too loud, or somebody spending too much time praying. It could be the situation that voice is the person that's saying, I need help. How can God put me in a position that I need to be, that you telling me
I need to be.
I need to be there?
Anybody else? I guess my thing is this. When I look at it in terms of new voices, I'm looking at, bottom line, how can we embrace those who feel they have no space in the church? but then at the same time maintain the integrity, of the church? And how do we balance both things to benefit both parties? So when we look at it, is the black church ready for new voices? Am I ready to give up my space on Sunday so that I can bring someone in who has a brilliance that we have not experienced? Am I willing to give up my space on Tuesday night Bible study or Wednesday night Bible study, so that I can embrace someone who has to work on Sunday, but that's their free space to come in and worship and contribute? So again, how much does the traditional church lose in order to welcome the voices?
I feel like you only gain by welcoming different voices and different expressions. So like the church that I'm serving now, we every third Sunday, every Wednesday after the third Sunday, we do a prayer closet instead of Bible study. So the whole night is prayer. And the last one, it was youth and young adult. I facilitated. And Doc was like, halfway through the service, he leaned over and said, "Can you believe that the majority of the people that we had praying, young adults, they had never touched the mic before because they prayed even down. Like they came in there like some old church mothers." And we're talking about, 18 to 40. And when I tell you they prayed, like word, but they don't have a leadership role. They're not over anything. They were just hand-selected new young adults that were given the opportunity. And they were incredible.
Yeah.
All of them.
But God did the work. They got identified, and that microphone was that voice they never had, and God did the rest. And that's kind of in what I was saying as far as reaching out and trying to touch people that outside your comfort zone. If it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and you got Bible study, prayer call, whatever, you're comfortable with those people because they're like you. You have to get out of that comfort zone and identify people that are not like you, that are not, there, and just let them talk. And I guess in line with your questions, you have to let people feel like they matter.
Yeah.
And
So-
if you don't identify them, they don't feel like they matter. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Do you think a part of the problem then we in the church, just say in the current state, we become great communicators but terrible listeners?
Exactly.
Like, maybe Jared could speak to this. Like, I know when you're used to things being, and I've seen it from both sides. I've, served in much older traditional churches. I've served in, younger, emerging churches, as they call it. And a lot of times what you'll see in both parameters is folks like to hold on to stuff. Yeah. Some of it out of duty, some of it out of obligation. But they take ownership of what they love. Yeah. And a lot of times, especially we're talking about non-believers, right? Those that are coming into the knowledge or maybe fresh into their relationship. They don't understand why. Like it hasn't been, communicated or talked to them. And so when they ask questions and when they voice their opinions and they make statements, a lot of times from the perspective of churches, we get offended. Oh no, we do this way. Yes. But not a whole lot of why.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of explanation to what does this mean? Like, where does this translate? Is this biblical? Because these are the questions our generation is asking. Like, there ain't nothing about in the Bible about wearing pants.
I'm like in all dresses.
What no pants? You know what I'm saying? So like, it's like, are we willing to open our ear, not just tell and communicate, but are we willing to open our ears to hear what the concerns are and what those
questions might be to people coming in to those new voices that are trying to make a way.
Man, this is the first time I find myself speechless. I don't know. It's just I feel like the conversation as a whole again is just like, is the black church ready? When it's like asking, are you ready for the sun to come up? Because I mean, I feel like the real question should be, how do we prepare?
Yeah,
I mean, like inevitably, it's gonna have to be new voices. You can't have pastor up there for eternity and beyond. You know, like somebody has to step up. And are we really setting those people up to be like ready to carry that torch? I feel like that should be kind of like where we look at it.
And with regard to that, I'm gonna say we do not have that family. We have horrible succession plans. We have horrible transition plans. The state of the modern black church is, for most, you're going to die in that position. Yeah, that's your retirement. Yeah, and go. Now there are those of us, the AME, UME, UMC, some other structural churches where there's a mandatory retirement.
Yeah.
But for the overwhelming majority of black Protestants, Baptists, Pentecostal, those we died in office.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons. A lot of them haven't prepared to leave the office. A lot of them weren't prepared to even go into the office. That's another story for another time. But they don't have succession. And they're doing this because if I don't do this, I can't pay for this and that and the third. Now I gotta be a pastor because I got kids in school and I haven't prepared outside of this pulpit to live a life that doesn't require this pulpit. I don't want anybody to come up, and I don't want to train anybody.
Yeah,
because then they'll take my spot.
So that's the problem with, I mean, not to get it beyond religious conversation, but I think that's a problem with like a lot of things now, is that is a big scarcity mindset when it comes between generation to generation. Because like, the way it should be, I used the word continuity before, there should be change, but there needs to be a little bit of that, like, emit that fiber, that tissue that established it. Problem is, especially today, and this is not a dig at anybody's generation or anything, but just like a lot of people just refuse to move on from where they're at. I have a friend, he has a saying. He says you got to lead the game before the game leaves you, and it's a lot of people still putting on their jersey, but you got to do extra stretches to get in the game. Your knees is creaking every time you go for a dunk.
Bandages.
Yeah. You looking like Joel Embiid on the bit. Let me stop.
Yeah.
Yes. Go Sixers. Anyways, it's way too many people that are, and like you said, there are valid reasons. I understand why you want to be in the positions, but like I feel like for the good of the church and the good of society as a whole, sometimes it's gotta get to a point where you gotta realize it's time to move on, and you gotta set somebody up.
But no problem. But isn't that the sad part? Because when you look at the game and you look at the players and you look at, because this ain't low leveling in the NBA where you sit out, put your ankle there. Here, these are souls.
Yes, sir.
These are this is salvation.
Absolutely.
And you're gonna lose something if people that are sitting in the congregation, people that are looking from outside, thinking about getting in congregation, how you gonna feel if you feel your pastor's just going through the motions? That he just doing it because the thing about it, there's nothing better than when you look and you see a pastor that look like they getting ready to sprint to that pulpit, because that's their fire. That's what drives people. What drives people away is that when you look and it's like, that cat don't, female, they don't like that job anymore than. So how you gonna save souls and bring people to Christ if it's like,
It feels disingenuous.
You just kind of like.
So let's deal with the underlying question that's not being stated. Why do new voices not want to come to the church?
Is it they don't want to come, or they just don't have a space to come?
But that's the thing. It could be one and the same. Like it could be a mirror of each other. Like they don't have the space to come, which has created this desire for them to not have anything to do with it. Like,
Because here is the genesis of the question. In 2024, when you look at Black church growth, less than 5% of that growth were millennial men between the ages of 27 and I think 40.
Less than 5?
It was actually like 4.8%.
so I don't.
So in
I don't
a
think you can sneak
male-dominated
past that.
leadership space,
Yeah.
in your congregation, that's the least amount of growth that you see in your congregation.
Sneak past that. We can't sneak past that. And trying to investigate and find out and figure out the reason why that is. Before we start talking about welcoming new voices, how can we interest new voices? How can we? Because again, we talked about the differences in generations. Like there was an obligation to church. There was a need. There was a need to fulfill. Even if you was just checking off the box, even if that was just your routine, but it was a part of your routine. You were there. You contributed because that's as a Black man serving in my community. This is what we go to church on Sunday morning.
We'll go to church.
But now, even that motivator has been diminished.
You go to brunch on Sunday.
So-
no.
Listen,
Right.
Do you know I have been
It's
in
a
church
whole
all my life, and do you know how much sometimes I would just rather go to brunch on a Sunday morning?
listen,
Let's just be
Oh,
real.
y'all go to Rumba? Oh, I gotta be here.
So let me ask this question. Do we prefer snippets over sermons?
Thank you, TikTok.
I
talk about it.
I don't know the exact stat, but statistically, the newest form that millennials and your generation, Gen Z,
Yep.
they prefer. I think it's like Pew Research. They prefer to hear the gospel in podcast form, overwhelmingly.
Yeah, people like
Absolutely.
short form content like across the board now, and I kind of hate it. Everyone's attention span is just
It's gone.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I asked this question earlier. I'm going to ask it again. How much religion are we willing to lose?
So paint a picture of what that looks like. So when you say a religion-less Sunday,
Not a religion-less
I'm not saying
Sunday.
completely void.
Let's
but
just say
less
light. Religion light. Yeah, Sunday.
What does that look
I
like?
guess I'm looking at it in terms of structures. For example, a lot of our traditional churches that we see here, 25 minutes of that front part of the service is the deacons doing devotion. If you got 7 deacons up there, 5 gonna raise a hymn, 6 gonna pray.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And here's the deal.
You want to shake hands?
If they gonna shake hands, walk around, when Deacon Fleming kneel down, kneel down. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that's 25 minutes of my life that I can't get back. You see what I'm saying? And I've tuned out over the first prayer. How much we gonna pray? You know what I'm saying? So that's 25 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And we hadn't even heard a song from the choirs. Forget the A and B selection because we know it's gonna be
It's
one.
gonna be too. Yeah.
So those things in terms of the structure, you know what I'm saying? That's what I mean by how much religion are we willing to lose in order to accept new voices.
Because I know for me, and I think I may be able to speak for part of my generation too, we're the generation that still had cassettes and like the internet.
yeah. I think most people my generation.
Like I know what an 8-track is. You don't even.
I know through like cultural osmosis, but no, I don't.
But
know.
you never seen one.
Yeah, we did have a. No, I don't know what they.
But there's a certain set of predictability that we enjoy having in church. So routine and religion don't bother me, right? But I have heard in the last couple months, I have heard about 5 or 6 people tell me that church has become too predictable and too boring.
So on the flip side, on the evangelical flip side, right? Statistically, like 24, 25, for white evangelicals, the greatest uptick of joining a church
Yes.
was joining the Orthodox Church
Mhm.
or the Roman Catholic Church.
I don't think we can address that.
Complete predictability.
Complete.
Complete.
You know the legit.
You know the
calendar.
It ain't gonna listen.
Yeah.
Complete predictability. So is it a black church, white church? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just wanting the broader conversation because on one side it's the legit opposite.
You know, even if you take it there, Jared.
Do you want me to take
Yeah,
it?
yeah, go ahead and
I
take
don't
it
know
there.
you want me to say
Hey,
it.
when we first started this thing, we said it was going to be raw, authentic conversation.
Okay, all right.
The floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, well, authentic. I think part of what you're looking at, a little bit can be explained through like white supremacy a bit. Like part of the reason why they want to go to the very orthodox traditional route, what they got going on is because that tradition that they're trying to get back to is oppression. Like they might not really love Catholicism like that or love the traditional orthodox thing, but they know like, well, if I'm in this system, like this system in their mind allows me to have some type of dominion over other people. It allows me to live my life and like put that on other people. So it's not as much of a religious homecoming for them, like a genuine thing, as it is like what we're looking at. So then that's like some esoteric, like political stuff there that like goes really deep. But what we're looking at, I think, is
Even when
like,
even when they have a pope who took a immigrant priest and made him a bishop
right.
and put him in the most politically red waters that he could find. And this joker came to California in the back of a truck. He made him a bishop and put him in the most politically conservative space. The Pope has authority to put bishops everywhere.
Right.
He strategically did.
Yeah.
He just made a black man, Boxey is his last name, who was the dean of Catholic. I know this stuff because it's like I eat and breathe a lot of this. Over Howard's Catholicism at Howard, black guy, built it up, made him a bishop, the new auxiliary bishop in Washington, D.C., in the back door of white supremacy. He made a black bishop. And he's openly talking about it. And the president hates the Pope.
Yeah.
Because the Pope from Chicago, Southside, white man, is against everything that he's doing.
Because that's actual Catholicism. That's what I was saying before. They're not joining because they actually love the religion. They're joining for the fashion. They're joining for the aesthetic. It's
the polls that I read did say that they enjoy high church. That the bells and smells is what they were calling it. Now they definitely said that.
Yeah.
It for sure saying that. So
now I obviously can't speak for everybody because it's probably plenty of people that are like legitimately converting to Catholicism and like found that in like. But I'm also not discounting that there is a rise of that like return to an idea of traditionalism rather than actual traditionalism, and I think that kind of accounts for it.
But how does that twist to the black church?
Right.
What's the disconnect or whatever? Because I'm actually asking the question as opposed to, having an opinion. It's like something is amiss because there's too much politics, too much economics that go into folks making a decision to turn their life over to Christ. And what can be done to bring people to what it's really supposed to be? Not worry about the order of service. Not worry about who's singing this or who's doing that. Because again, we talked about it in the last episode. There was a point where the church was so important because that's basically all we had outside of that terrible life that we were living. You can even go back to slavery times. A lot of, and I might have this wrong, but a lot of the gospel songs or hymns or whatever, they were basically during that period of time with that was what was in their soul. That's all they could relate to as far as their existence is. There got to be something on the other side. And what's changed in 2026? Because there's an element of people that are struggling, that's trying to figure out what can I do to get past this existence that I have, and what is the role of the black church in getting those folks? Because we all feel comfortable, coming to church and I'm sitting next to you, sitting next to you, listening to you, blah, blah. But do we feel comfortable when we go out in our communities and see our people that don't make you feel comfortable?
What do you mean by that?
Well, you look and they need help,
Mm.
but you ain't willing to help. They need a meal, but you ain't trying to feed them every day.
That's the problem.
Well, but I'm saying, but that's one of the roles of the church is to go out and serve the least of thee.
There's a popular theological perspective now that's I forgot the name of the book.
It'll come to you.
Moral therapeutic deism.
Oh man.
Okay, you gotta put it.
Essentially-
You got.
oh,
Get this in the book.
moral therapeutic deism. Essentially,
Yep. Yes.
where
Yes.
younger generations believe that God isn't necessarily present in our everyday lives. He's like out there, and
Goodness.
he created the earth and essentially left us to live out our lives and wants us to live the best life we possibly can. Right? It's this thought process of, I'm just gonna be the best me. So I'm gonna get up every day. I'm gonna go to the gym. I got my, it's my routine. I'm go to brunch. I'm gonna go to, do what I want to do. There is, for some, there is no real need or real desire for spiritual formation. It's more of, let me get a spiritual fix. And so if they can't find that fix in church because it's not attractive, it doesn't excite them enough, it doesn't give them enough fulfillment. And I'm just talking about Sunday. If they can't find it on Sunday, they'll find it, wherever they feel like they can find it, even if it's some kind of high. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
They're looking for some kind of high that the church just does not provide for them anymore. But I think what the church has, the black church in particular, has not done a great job of is reminding the present age why we need spiritual formation. Like we talked about before, why is the gospel important? Why do you need this gospel message? Why do you need to live the way the scripture describes that we should live? Why? Because you seem to be doing great. You got your money, you got your career, you got your job.
All your creature comforts.
Your chick, she bad. You know what I'm saying? Like all the things, you got all the things working for you. But why is this spiritual man of yours, why is that still important for you to make sure you nurture?
Man, but then they go into having the right people in place, teaching the right things. It's just like when we talk about the one, when we first started doing it, I don't know one of you.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is I intellectualized it.
Yeah.
That I had to find him or whatever, as opposed to going out and just you witness and let God do the rest.
Yeah.
Which is, it sounds simple, but it's a lot easier than sitting up there saying, I'm wondering is Brandon going through some stuff so I can talk to him. Because a lot of times when you identify that person going through some stuff, you have to be very, very careful how you approach that.
Because you don't want to do it like a sales pitch, like, man, I see you're really down, brother. But you know what's gonna fix that? Hey, Jesus.
I know.
Hey, I got brochure.
Here you go. Yeah. Do these three things. Yeah. And I guess to piggyback off of what, Ray is saying, still, it begs the question, why do I need this? What is the benefit of it? Because if we go back to the previous episode, when I introduced Apologetics, I'm going through these things. I have been dealt a horrible hand.
Yeah.
All my life. You know what I'm saying? My mama was on crack. My daddy sold it to her.
Yeah.
I don't know who my daddy is. You know what I'm saying? I come home, you know what I'm saying? We ain't got nowhere to sit. So I got to run around, all day until I get tired. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what cable is. I have never left the neighborhood that I live in, and I'm 13 years old. Now I'm a grown man and I'm still occupying that same neighborhood. This is my life. And now you're telling me to hold on to his unchanging hand when I have never felt the grasp of their hand. So now you have to explain to me why I need the gospel. Why does the gospel benefit me? When all I know is, to put it into context, in my city, all I know is Houston Avenue and Memorial Gym. My life has never expanded past that. And unfortunately, for some of our people, that is a lived reality. But now you want to come on the scene and tell me that I need a God and the price that his son paid, for me on Calvary. I never asked him to do it. And I never knew that I even had a price to be paid. So again, why do I need this? How does it benefit me?
Not, but it's a
This gonna go left.
Yeah. I'm trying to.
but it's a twofold situation.
You gonna answer that question?
Well, but it's a twofold situation because you have the person that quote unquote is in need, but even the person that can get the need, they need it too.
Yeah.
I need it for my salvation to reach out in Him to bring someone closer to Christ. It ain't just my well-being; it's spreading the word to everybody. And I think that's where we missed the boat because we'll raise money for this building with the thought of, we're going to have this building and it's going to be an outreach thing. You build a building and you do everything but
Outreach.
Like you got a gym, but you use the gym for everything. But gym stuff.
So let me present this. I'm not gonna say pericope. So let me present this.
Okay,
so that's
can we stop with the like I'm feeling very inadequate about my vocabulary right now. I thought I was a fairly well-read person.
You
are.
I guess it's easy for you to say that, Wayne Cooley. You live in a nice home. You got multiple cars.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? You can, wear a different shirt, every other day. You know what I'm saying? You retired from a job. And now you gonna tell me what I need when all your needs are being met.
You ain't got the answer, Swipe.
But that's the whole thing, because there are millions of people that fit that mold. But the whole thing is, if it is a situation that God has blessed me with whatever, then it's incumbent upon me to spread that blessing in some form to somebody else. So that's the whole thing is, when that person looks at me and they say those things, that means my walk is not what it should be, because you shouldn't know how many cars I have. You shouldn't know where I live. You shouldn't pay attention to what I dress. If you have the right walk, people see you. But we don't have enough people with that right walk because everybody's looking saying, Brandon, he talking that junk, but he good. Darius is good. Sam's good. But the whole thing about it is, how many people do you know that you don't think about what they do, where they live, how much they have, because they walk that walk and you look and say, they got it. And that person is treating you like a human being, treating you like, you matter. We need more people that have made it, because when you look at important biblical, and I use the word wrong, but characters, the ones that had an effect, they did something. They had an effect on people. We need to have that type of thought process as we go through our lives, and people won't sit up there and think about what we have, whatever. They say God has blessed them because they have lived a good life and they are trying to do right. I mean, I know it sounds hokey, but you can look at material stuff, but material stuff, that's the problem. We look at material stuff as a measurement of what people are. And I don't know if that is something that can be sustainable for us being good people, because you always are going to have somebody that has something that you don't have. And if you look at it as far as envy, we never will bridge that gap. That ain't the answer, but
because something I kind of feel about, because part of what we're missing is like we don't have enough people that exist to be good ministries to other people about Christianity. Because a lot of people I notice, at least in my personal life and the things I observe, a lot of people are really selfish with God. Like they act like there's only like God is they're the only people that God is doing something for. It's like, oh well, like my God don't play about me. Why he's gotta be your God? He's our God. Like he's all of our God. He don't play about any of us. But you acting like you different, and you people come with this attitude like they act like religion and being religious absolves you of any like wrongdoing that you do onto others, so you can walk around. Because I'm gonna keep it a bean. I don't know if this is a controversial statement. Some, not all, but some of the worst people I know are religious people. I know a lot of terrible people that got a scripture in their Bible in their bio right now.
Absolutely.
Like, you got the word of God. It's like, oh, like I believe in this, da 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 da. You got the verse and everything. Like, well, you don't believe in the verse because like yesterday at work you was cussing that lady out. Like yeah, you got like crosses on your car and stuff, but like.
Yeah,
you flipped off a homeless person. Like I don't like there's like there's a disconnect in the type of person that you're proclaiming to be, and the what people actually observe you by. That's part of the reason why you don't get as many new people, because they look at it and are like, okay, well, y'all say y'all believe in X, Y, and Z, but then you go out in the world and all you ever seem to do is just nitpick what everyone else is doing and act like as Outcast once said,
well, yeah.
like you act like don't stink, like
And it definitely does.
it does. Roses do smell like boo boo.
Do you feel like that's a lot of the struggle? Because I'm not having lost track of getting new voices into the church, right?
Right.
Do you feel like that's part of the struggle, like the outer world, or I guess it's not even necessarily outside looking in, because a lot of the people we're talking about new voices, but a lot of folks have gone away from church that have had 5 to 17 that have had
And part of it is their
terrible
disillusion
experiences,
with what they've seen.
that they've experienced. But is it like this? Because this is part of what I feel like a struggle is. As Christians, culture and the world looks at us like we're supposed to have this perfection about us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then when you see a life that's modeled not necessarily in perfection, it creates this this automatic hypocrisy based on what they saw.
And I don't think
You know
that's
what I'm saying?
necessarily the problem of people living imperfect lives, because we all know. I mean, that's part of, like we always say, like we live in sin, like, but just is us for the sins, like that's why we do what we do. But it's also, even if you live a quote unquote perfect life, some of that can feel fake and phony. It's not necessarily the lives specifically. It's that a lot of people, when they do stuff that's unchristlike, they still try to invoke Christ in it, and they almost weaponize religion. It's like, yeah, sure. I don't really like. I have a terrible relationship with like all my family members, but I'm prayed up, don't you know? So like really, like
Come on, man.
It just flashed before my
I'm talking about
eyes.
8 by 10s. It just popped up. Yeah.
It's like that old saying that people do is like, oh, well, only God can judge me. It's like, I mean, no, I feel like I can still, I feel like I have a bit of a say-so in there.
Yeah.
I don't determine whether you're going to heaven or not, but at the same time, I'm looking at you, and the way you moving ain't really Christ-like, even though you claim that this is of Christ. And if these are the of Christ actions, then
I
like,
don't want to be.
what am I joining
for?
for?
Associated with Christ. It feels like who you say.
Like I'm just basically now I'm like, okay, I'm doing the same thing I'm doing, except now I have something to do on Sundays, I guess. So you're not getting anything out of it.
In that last episode, remember we had that conversation about truth and transparency, right? Truthful things and being transparent. And I think that in an age where transparency is heralded, they're transparent. We've tried to take a worldly model and apply it to church when that was never
That is also true.
necessarily the case. God's never. Now this is me. I don't believe He's ever called us to be as transparent as we've become.
Right.
But He's always called us to be truth. The truth is the gospel. That's the truth.
That's the truth.
Trans-
Never changes.
So if you would allow me to just, one black man talking to a few people.
Take your heat.
The gospel is Jesus saves. That's the truth. The transparency is I'm living in sin. Now my transparency should not preclude the gospel. The gospel is going to be the gospel, and more people could receive the gospel. I'm not saying that we should be secretive, but everybody so there's my favorite preacher in the whole world. If you know me, you already know who this one singular person is. My favorite preacher in the whole world. Super duper famous preacher. Probably preached the gospel and saw more people saved than the vast majority of many of us will.
Yeah.
He drank. He was a notorious womanizer. I'm not saying these things are right.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not advocating for but in a time where transparency wasn't so heralded, God still used it. Wow. But we're living in a culture now where I want to know what you're doing, right?
I want to know.
I don't want. You're not just
If
going
I
to
don't
preach
want
to
to know,
me.
you're gonna show me.
You're going to show me because that's what's popular. Social media.
Yeah.
You can. So I could be a single pastor really dating to find a wife, but because I'm on socials, you see me with all these different women. Now it's a whole thing, and now you don't want to come to church because I'm a womanizer now. When I'm just really trying to find the right one. But my transparency has precluded my truth or the truth.
Sometimes keeping it real does go wrong. Like on Dave Chappelle, so like hey, there's keeping it real, and then there's like. Yeah, right. We didn't need to know that. It's we're in an oversharing.
Oversharing. That's what
like epidemic.
But that's the world we live in, and when you try and mix church in it, it makes it such a hard deal because you're blurring reality, truth, transparency. All this stuff is in one big pie.
Yes.
And some stuff we talked about it earlier. I'm old school and I expect for my pastor to do this, do that, be this, do that. But that's an old man looking at what I expect. Because at the end of the day, we didn't know the pastor, Joe Smith was doing X because it wasn't the internet. It wasn't social media. And they could have been doing as much dirt. You just didn't know.
And no could have been. They 9 out of 10 of them probably were.
Because they're human beings.
Yes, it doesn't.
So then you have to flip it and say, okay, what goes to your initial question, how much do you tear apart for people to know, to understand, to feel comfortable? Because part of the reason people aren't coming is because they feel there's a level of hypocrisy there that, I know she doing this. Think about it.
Yeah.
If you're in the church long enough, you can just sit and say, okay, I know this.
But see, that thing goes back to, I ain't cut you off.
No, you got it.
It goes back to that last conversation that we had about, oh Lord, the thought escapes me. But the last episode, we talked about oversharing, and we talked about, very specifically, Lord Jesus, how we testimony. If I say to you, Jesus saved me and delivered me, but I still struggle with this, I become really real,
Yes.
but not so transparent. So my hypocrisy now, it turns on its head.
Correct.
When I say, hey man, I love God and I'm saved, but I'm still working through this issue.
I think the way we need to look at it is look at it like, so imagine, I guess, your testimony, your relationship with God is a car, right? So you don't want to drive around in fishboard. You don't need everybody. You don't understand what that means. It means non-tinted windows. You basically see, oh, thank you. But
Love that.
you want to, now I don't know the 10%, so like I'm just going to throw it out there. You want to have enough that's street legal where the cops won't pull you over.
Yes.
They can see what's in the car and they ain't got to worry about it. But also, Joe Smo can't see every little detail. Like, oh, that's what he got on the dashboard. He got this XYZ in the back. Like, you want people to be able to You want people to be able to still see you in your car, but not see everything that's in your car.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, listen, crew. Our time is becoming far spent. Man, I think that we could actually stay here all day on this topic. But as we wrap up, I'm going to give everybody a 30 to 40 second close. So we'll go back to the question as we close. Are you ready for me? Is the Black church ready to receive new voices 2.0? I'll start with you.
Well, I'll try to keep it short, but basically, I feel like it's not a matter of if they're ready, it's preparing yourself for like the next generation of people. It's about really looking at what we do and how we present ourselves as a people, and whether or not that's gonna be something that can nurture the next generation and something that's gonna foster new people that want to come in. And that's just something that we definitely won't be able to answer in a day, but it's got to be a long-term thing that we got to pick apart.
Yes. No. But real quick, no. As the church continues to evolve, we just have to remember it's still the basic tenet that everything should be led by Christ, and we've got to figure out a way to make sure that it's modern, that it's relatable, and it's more than that, that is genuine. If we do that, it should be fine.
I believe that the Black church should, in fact, be ready to receive new voices. And I believe we are capable of receiving new voices. But I believe there is a level of love and compromise that comes with the bridge of getting from here to there. So that's my post, sister.
That's very good. I don't think that there's much to say. In my 27 seconds. I believe that we are and we're not. It's interesting. But I believe that we're more on the end of, we should be more on the end of making our way to become more accepted. So we should put processes, systems, structure, strategies in place to receive them, because we know they're coming. We know that they're going to arise, but we should be we should prepare. We should be proactive and not reactive. In that when they get here, we're trying to scramble. We should prepare to receive them, however that looks, wherever that looks. And we should make structured strategies around receiving.
That's good. If we look at that question, we can look at what God left for us. He left us a library of 66 books. And if you look at those books, it is littered with new voices. Isaiah was a new voice. Moses was a new voice. If you look at the program at Pentecost, Peter was a new voice. So if the Black church is ready for new voices, I don't know. But they're coming whether we're ready or not. Because if we look at the example that God left for us in his library, those new voices are coming. Listen, this has been an amazing episode of the Carport. Man, I cannot wait until we have the opportunity to sit and wax poetically about the good things that God has left for us. Remember, he loves you and there's nothing you can do about it. So until next time, this is the CB crew saying peace, blessings on you. We out of here.
Peace.